On Saturday, April 11th, Hello Merch and Easy Partners welcomed legendary Akron, Ohio art punks Devo to the historic Hello Lincoln Warehouse in downtown Phoenix, Arizona. Formed in 1973, Devo defined art pop and became a seminal influence on punk, post-punk, and synth-pop aesthetics for decades to follow. The event was a full-day pop-up, featuring exclusive merch, live DJs, original artwork by Mark Mothersbaugh, a film screening, and a special tasting from Jerry Casale's 50 by 50 winery. Guests were also treated to a special live performance by Devo cover band Spud Patrol, featuring members of Sneak, Here in Spirit, The Rebel Set, and our own Decoy Deloy. 53 years into their run, Devo still has a lot to say about the world of tomorrow and today. For the sit-down Q&A, we let fans in attendance come up with questions for the band, which we collected on little pink cards. Devo's takes on topics like de-evolution, Brian Eno, and the true origin of their iconic Energy Dome helmets will surprise you. It's Mutate, Don't Stagnate, documented for the public record, live at Lincoln.
Oh yeah! So we got the movie, we'll have Devo up here as well. We're sipping through all of your questions. And yeah, you guys have fun so far? You guys get the cocktails, all drinks? Very nice, very nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Mark and Bob Mothersbaugh, Gerald Casale, Jeff Friedel, and Josh Akers. Devo!
Feedback?
Hey everybody. Thanks so much for joining us here at Mutate, Don't Stagnate at 850 West Lincoln. We're so glad to welcome the members of Devo up to the stage, and we're really looking forward to presenting your questions to the members of Devo. So, our very first one is a doozy, okay? Do you think de-evolution is more relevant now than when you started? So, everybody feel free to tackle that one all at once.
Without question.
Without question. I mean, we live in a time where it definitely seems like the average sort of level of comprehension of reality has decreased considerably. I mean,
yes and no. It's like when I was 20, I just saw things going down, and since then, I see that evolution and de-evolution, they're kind of like in a constant conflict with each other. And so I see them as both existing. It's kind of like yin and yang, and we're going through it like that. And hopefully, you know, it's like when you're in a really dark situation politically and economically in the world, that's when artists get inspired. And I think the new technology is going to make new art. There's going to be kids that are going to make new art. There's going to be kids that are doing things that we're all going to go, oh, that's incredible. And it's just a constant crisis.
it feels to me like the mutate, don't stagnate, the way that slogan sort of entered the picture spoke to where you guys saw things going, which was that the time isn't necessarily for nihilism, it's to start imagining new ways to maybe communicate certain ideas about what it means to be a human being. I mean, does that sort of resonate with you guys?
Devo was never about nihilism at all. As a matter of fact, Devo was about very, very serious ideas and concepts central to the human condition that we saw and we felt passionate about, and we were reaching out about, sticking our necks out aesthetically in music, but also politically and culturally, trying to stave off what we saw, which was the shriveling up of human consciousness, of the understanding of logic and analysis, which is central to to any kind of democratic or free society or any experience of the world where you're not under a dictatorship. And we saw it just like the movie Idiocracy. We saw it going that way, where
Right.
people are no longer even able to grasp the concept of what it means to be free. And obviously, the Constitution was based on things that people understood. And once you don't understand, once you don't have an appetite for democracy, for democratic or, tolerant rule of law, guess what? Despots are always ready to step in. And they always have been, all around the world, throughout history, all the time. And we thought that was in the past after World War II.
Right.
And it wasn't.
Yeah.
And we're right back where we were. Because it's a constant fight. And once you give up your principles, they take over. The despots take over.
That's kind of what the next question relates to. The question, how do you think modern and political polarization compare to media culture when you were critiquing it back in the early days?
It's on steroids now, with AI. It's, especially older people are totally confused and frightened of it. And but I think kids are smarter than the adults when it comes to that. It's the same as technology 50 years ago when we were just starting. There were like things that scared everybody, but the whole idea is technology is neither good nor bad. It's just how you use it. And we're in a situation now where AI is going to do great things, but it's also already doing really dark things.
It's the stupid cliche, follow the money. I mean, billionaires certainly know how they want to use AI or anything else. Why is corporate media normalizing psychotic, toxic, fascist idiots who are taking us down? And I'm not just talking about America, I'm talking about around the world.
Global, yeah. Global
Globally.
fascism.
And it's because all they care about is money. And they don't care about democracy or freedom or the plight of the average person who's not one of the 1%. Clearly, they just want to make even more money and not pay any tax while they'll sick the IRS on you for missing $5.
Which reminds me, I desperately need to finish filing my taxes. Probably it's the right move at this guy. This guy knows. Here's a great question. This is in response to one of your earliest collaborations as a group, and it says, how did the collaboration with Brian Eno come to be? The documentary covered this to some degree, but I wonder if maybe for Will, who asked this question, is Will in the house? There we go, Will's over there. Brian Eno is one of my favorites. You guys had kind of a complicated situation with Brian Eno to a certain degree, as the film explains. But how did you guys feel about that collaboration at the time and now?
We got asked in interviews who we wanted to have produce us, and we kind of vaguely knew what that term meant because we'd already been our own producers. I'd mixed our little crappy basement tapes ourselves, and we had worked really hard to make our songs sound like they sounded. But we all loved Brian Eno and David Bowie because of their creativity. Eno, I thought, was one of the early pioneers that was doing something right with synthesizers. I mean, there were people before him like Rick Wakeman and Keith Emerson and stuff who picked them up and they started playing them like it was a glorified organ. They were corny. They always played these really corny things on misused synthesizers, and Brian just took it down a whole nother road, and we paid attention to that and wanted to work with him.
Yeah, I mean, there was a small, obviously, enclave of quote, art rock people.
Yeah.
And why they were called art rock is because they were reaching for ideas and trying new things and experimenting and sticking their necks out and risking. And Bowie was there, and Eno was there, and there were many other people, including some of the, quote, kraut rock groups.
It's kind of a derisive term, krautrock.
I know,
like,
it's hilarious.
It sounds pretty adjacent to, you could get canceled for saying
dismissive or whatever. But apart from that, we loved music that was exciting and new and different and challenging, and maybe the first time you heard it, you're not even sure you like it, and then you replay it and stick it on the turntable again and again and again, because there were turntables, and pretty soon you can't stop putting it on. So when Bowie, with his former commitments, couldn't produce us, he said, well, just talk to Brian. Brian will do it for you.
He'd already come and seen us before Bowie did even.
So we did. We met with Brian, and we hung out with Brian, and we loved Brian as a person.
And we said, well, he said he wanted to take us to Germany to this recording studio, Connie Planck's studio in Neunkirchen, that he had worked out on a number of projects, and a lot of experimental electronic bands had worked out. And we said, well, we don't even have a record deal. We can't do that. And he goes, don't worry about it. I'll make sure, I'll pay for it. I'll get us over there and back. And he just had this great attitude about it that made us feel like it was all possible to happen.
Yeah, he was ready, and he was cool and smart. And this is before he became a big-time producer in his own right. He was cutting his teeth on Devo. And we loved what he did in Roxy Music, but he had moved on from there.
The first Roxy Music album was pure art, and it's like the lyrics are incredible. But even on there was this throwaway song called Editions of You, and it was like a B-side, because it had a whole bunch of solos. All the different players each took a solo in it, and the lyrics were silly, and it wasn't really. But it got to the synth solo, and he played the synthesizer in a way that nobody had played it before, and when I heard it, it made me really want to meet him anyhow.
And we saw him do that. Bob Mothersbaugh turned me on to Roxy Music really early on, and when we were in Akron and in proximity to Cleveland, believe it or not, Cleveland was like a make it or break it market in America for any new music, whether it was from England or wherever or America. And if you didn't make it in Cleveland, you might not make it in America. So we got to see acts like Roxy Music and Slade and everybody before they even broke. And we were going religiously to any concert we could go to. So we saw Brian during the period of the sequins and the boas and in No Shirt and playing noise solos on his Moog. It was incredible.
Well, speaking of the religious motivation that you went to go see these artists play when they were in Cleveland, this next question, the topic is Dove, the Band of Love. And the question from David Adler in Pine Island, Minnesota. Okay. You submitted this on David's behalf, or you're claiming Pine Island? You don't want to put Phoenix, maybe? No. Okay, Pine Island, Minnesota, everybody. Would you consider doing Dove again? ? P.S. Please. I think right now we've got some strange things happening religiously in our country. Is the time right for Dove to return?
Ooh. We enjoyed playing Dove because we would wear like big fake mutton chops and like a card dealer's visor and Century 21 real estate outfits, mustard colored with white shoes, remember? And people would boo us, like going, "Get off the stage, we want Devo.
We want Devo."
Yeah. We loved it. And then maybe there'd be a few people up front in the theater or the arena that would go, "Wait a minute, is that Devo?" But most of the people would just be like, what is this? And
they didn't see you on Instagram every single day, so they weren't like immediately like.
But it was also Jerry and Bob and I. We really, you know, I remember on our first tour we had a manager who we met through Neil Young, and he didn't really get us. He signed us only because Neil told him to, because Neil loved Devo, and. So I remember we walked into, it was in Vancouver, we walked into like a hockey rink or something where we were playing. I can't remember where it was, but they were playing like Bob Seger, no, Tom Petty. They were playing Tom Petty over the PA as people were coming in. And I remember running over to the guy and saying, why are you playing that music? And he goes, because I need to tune the room. And so we were really bummed out that people had to listen to that stuff because we went so we recorded easy listening versions of Devo songs that we could play over you know in the theater before, so people, that's what they heard. But that's where Dove came from. It was one of the many things that we did to try to make it just an evening with Devo rather than having opening acts that didn't relate to what we were doing.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Devo was irreverent and, cleverly satirical. That's what people expected from us. And we were satirizing this false evangelical televangelism where it was just about money. It was just about exploiting people that needed to believe in something, in some form of God.
Oh, they were performing miracles live on TV, though, Jerry.
Of course.
Yeah, there were two of the biggest televangelists were in Akron. So
the big answer is, yeah, we need the band of Love more than ever since Love is on the run.
Yeah, I think the crowd is on board. Well, this is a question that everybody in the band can answer. The question is favorite potato dish. Everybody's curious. We were thankful to have the great folks from Fully Loaded set up a food truck out. Did anybody eat the Fully Loaded potatoes? We've got some spud heads in the
What's
crowd.
your favorite potato dish, Bob?
What's your favorite potato dish? Let's get this going.
In New York, there's a Greek restaurant where they actually thinly slice zucchini and kind of deep fry it, and it's like potato chips, but it tastes 100 times better.
That sounds great.
Are you putting down potatoes?
Tater tots.
Tater tots.
I would say Lay's classic.
Just the straight up yellow bag of Lay's potatoes.
Because I say get laid.
Okay.
Fully loaded.
Okay, when Bob and I were kids, my mom was overwhelmed with having 5 children, and our dad was a traveling salesman. So we ate raw potatoes straight out of the bag. We loved them.
That's fantastic.
Raw potatoes.
Raw potatoes.
Oh, yeah, raw potatoes. Now that sounds
that's
like
not
a song
really my
we should
favorite. That's
write.
just a potato story.
Well,
Devo should do raw potatoes, and it should be funk.
okay.
Yeah.
A Devo funk record.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad idea whatsoever.
Me either.
Yeah. Well, so this is a question sort of related to your rhythmic sensibilities as a group, and it says, one of the great things about Devo's music is the way you make 4/4 sound like an odd time signature. I would love to hear you guys reflect on what it is that allows you guys to do that strange thing of making that also familiar time signature sound so exotic.
Well, we did odd time signatures, though, just so you know. Jocko Homo is like 7/4. Bob did Blockhead and what? 11/4.
11/4,
Yeah, so we did have
yes.
some odd time signatures.
But they're not talking about that. They're talking about the fact that we can take something that's supposed to be normal and it doesn't sound normal.
Okay, which song are you referring to? Whoever wrote that?
Yeah, who wrote that question? Do we have back there in the red shirt? Was there a specific tune? Uncontrollable Urge.
Uncontrollable Urge. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, that's.
Is that 4/4?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can pound
That sounds
to
like
it.
an odd.
You can pound to it. You can wank to it,
You can wank to it. I think that,
but it's divided up strangely.
yeah.
The stops and the accents. And that's what we were good at because we were so white. That's how we felt things.
We spent a lot of time in the basement together.
Oh, yeah.
I think that now we live in a, you mentioned, Mark, a little bit about AI, and one thing that I worry about is music becoming so rhythmically precise that it loses that weird human touch that something like Uncontrollable Urge has, where it's like, you can tell this is a human band playing a sort of unconventional groove. Is that something you guys think about in terms of like how to keep that human touch?
No, that's a very good insight. That's very good insight because my feeling about Devo was that we sounded like a machine, but it was humans doing it.
Right.
And that's what made it interesting. Like early James Brown and the Flames, there were no click tracks. And so when Devo was as tight as a machine but doing it, the tension was palpable and the people loved it.
Yeah.
Is when you were really a machine, that's not good.
Then it's different, yeah. But you know what? We always sounded a little bit like a machine that wasn't. If you watch the show tomorrow, there's gonna be about 5% of chaos in there that we're like, oh, what the hell is going on? And that happens to us even 50 years later with some of this stuff. But I think that's the kind of machine we are.
Yeah.
A little bit rusty, a little bit old.
Yeah, I think of Akron, and just where you guys come from, a motorized kind of place, and that's like a big part about what makes Devo so special. This question is about the energy domes, and people want to know what inspired the energy dome.
Bob? Well, it was more than one source. It was more than one source because it happened over time. It happened over 7 years.
We can tell you how it first started out. Jerry and I were into ballet mécanique and a lot of things that were going on in Europe in between the two world wars, and we thought of Devo as wearing mechanical outfits and wearing mechanical things and geometric shapes. And Bob walked into the kitchen where we were sitting with a comic book, and he showed a picture. Go ahead.
It was Tubby and Little Lulu comic book, and Tubby was taking violin lessons, and the professor that was teaching him couldn't stand the noise, so he built what he called a cancellator helmet, which was the red helmet but with ear flaps.
Yeah, and it was looked more like an Aztec temple with ear flap, but what was important is the redness, because prior to that, talking about these Bauhaus, Dada, 20s era geometric costumes, that was like 1974, 1975. Didn't do anything about it. But
we kept drawing them. We kept putting them in sketchbooks with like inflatable rubber outfits and things, drawing pictures of what if Devo ever really got to do this.
My particular, inspiration was I hated going to my Catholic school and hated every moment of it. But it was built in the 30s, this Catholic elementary school, and had these beautiful Art Deco ceiling fixtures. They were glass, milk glass, hanging from the ceiling on 3 chains that looked exactly like these domes, but turned this way. And I used to stare at them, probably because I always had some aesthetic or some artistic bent, and I just loved the look of them, and they always stuck in my brain. So when it all came together, it was like, okay, that Art Deco shape with the red from Little Lulu and turn it around, right, and make it human scaled so it can fit on your head, and then we went somewhere with it.
Little Lulu already looked like this, but I
really.
don't think that the light fixture stole its design from Little Lulu, so we won't say that. But definitely that was Little Lulu was where the three of us all kind of agreed on it.
It's always so interesting to think about how putting something on your head is such a sort of signifier in a certain sense that you're tapping into some sort of weirder current.
Well, I mean, hats throughout history were some kind of form of socialization, some kind of form of stratification, class distinction, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And so Devo was creating, obviously, an alternative new world distinction by wearing a hat that showed something different about socialization.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking around and seeing all of these energy domes right now, and it feels very...
Look good.
It's very...
Yes, they always do.
I feel like we're in like a Masonic meeting or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a slightly cultish vibe happening here.
Devo is a cult.
Devo is a bit of a cult. I appreciate
Devo
that.
is a cult. It's a good cult. Not Jim Jones.
Yeah, which reminds me, everybody, pick up your Kool-Aid on the way out. There will be a small... So this is a question that is kind of close to my heart. I didn't ask it, though. Favorite memory of Yo Gabba Gabba, the television show. What was your favorite memory of being involved in it?
Oh, I got to be the art teacher. But my favorite memory is different, people were putting together TV shows all the time, and they'd send them to, they'd send me their sizzle reels. And it just happened that I got this, this first version of what could be episode 1 of Yo Gabba Gabba. And I watched it, and I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. That's pretty good. But I had 2 daughters at the time that were, like, in their, mid-years of the first single-digit years. And, I think they were 5 and 7 at the time, 4 and 7. And they didn't know that I'd been writing, Bob and I had been writing music for kids' shows since Pee-wee's Playhouse and Rugrats and, about 25 other kids' shows. And they didn't know any of that stuff. And when I got asked to be the art teacher on the show, I thought, oh, they're gonna be surprised. And it was for me, it was fun to watch my 4-year-old daughter like walking up to the TV and then seeing her dad on TV and then walking over, and I'm sitting in the other room, and then she walks back and she's like, how's he doing that?
That's cool. That's very cool. Well, as we're nearing the end of the Q&A portion, there's a question that I think is very pertinent to these times right now, which is, the question says, mutate, don't stagnate seems more positive than de-evolution. Do you think that something may be shifting right now? Are we moving towards a kind of positive mutation? I think you hinted at it earlier, Mark, a little bit.
Well, we hope so.
Yeah.
I think it infers that humans are the one species out of touch with nature, and I think kids need to pay attention to that and look at what adults are doing. Adults are doing horrible things, and they need to not just get stuck there and stratified. They need to mutate into something better.
There isn't some adversarial thing between de-evolution and mutation, by the way. We said in 1973, choose your mutations carefully, because it was all about doing things on purpose and thinking about them rather than being an idiot and conforming mindlessly to the WAD. So mutations are important, but there could be bad ones as well as good ones.
Yeah, I think that's beautifully stated. For Devo to still be going all these years later, there's a lot to be hopeful for when we look around a room of people and see people who are so excited about the idea of...
Well, I mean, unless there was some valid substance to the very base foundations of de-evolutionary thought, it wouldn't withstand the test of time, and it wouldn't resonate with new generations, and it wouldn't turn people on. But because there is, and because we stood for something, and we reached out for something, and we were committed to something, we lucked out to a certain degree. It's you do as good as you can as long as you can.
That's exactly right. And I don't think we can think of any better way to end things tonight. But I want to thank everybody for coming out to 850 West Lincoln. Let's hear it for everybody with Easy Partners.
Thank you. Really, thank you.
Let's hear it for Spud Patrol, Devo cover band. Let's hear it for everybody here at Hello Merch. Thank you all for coming out, hanging out. We appreciate you spending time with this group. Everybody in Devo, we appreciate you guys all coming out and spending this evening with us. It's a special thing to Netflix and chill with a bunch of like-minded freaks, and we appreciate you all being part of it. Thanks so much. Merch is still open if you want to purchase anything on your way out. Let's hear it for everybody in Devo.
All right, beautiful mutants, thank you.
Jerry is available if anyone wants some personal counseling right now.
Just drink my wine.